so many wonderful things said, but the few negative things tended to bother me a little bit. So I do still try to be very active with it. There are people on my staff who will check in from time to time. I think it's an important tool, and I think it's great that the fans have a voice.
Hey.
Mark Schwann, creator of One Tree Hill, and this is CW Connect. You know, a lot of people have mentioned that, and I've mentioned it in the past, that Mouth is a character that is very similar to me, and so a lot of people asked about that. Was I Mouth in high school, or is that character based on me? Sometimes it's easy for me to sort of get inside Mouth's head because I did travel a similar path, but his journey this year has been wildly different than any journey I had, so and will be in the final 6 episodes, so don't go anywhere. I'm starting to think that the character that is most like me is Chris Keller at this point. I don't know what that says about me. Actually, I do know what it says about me, but you know, he's a musician, and I always wanted to be a musician and was a struggling one for a while, hence the hair. And he can be a bit of a scoundrel, but I think he's got a good heart, and I think he genuinely wants to help the people around him, as we saw when he was leaving town, and as we'll see additionally in the in an appearance in the final 6 episodes of the season. That's an awesome screen name. I also am a Naley Ty Hill Lee lover. You know, I have to say that there are certain characters on the show that you can take more risks with. This season, probably Deb was really fun to write for, because you could do all kinds of things with Deb because she was kind of wacky and crazy. Tyler Hilton as Chris Keller is really fun because he takes a lot of chances, and you kind of like that in an actor, and plus his character is designed that way, that he can be a little offensive, but you get a sense that he's got a great heart. The girls are really fun to write for. Certainly Brooke, who's done a little bit of everything over 4 years, and Peyton and Haley as well. You know, I find myself sort of endeared to those characters, and it's always fun to send them on journeys of their own. I would be a tree on a hill, and I would probably be a money tree. Because then when anybody goes, you know, money doesn't just grow on trees, they'd say, well, yeah, it does. There's Schwann over there. It's the money tree. I had a lot of fun doing it. We had fun that day. The fear factor is pretty vast. It was, you know, being in front of the camera really, as a director, it helped me because it opened my eyes to how an actor is processing a note, and you know, just the fact of hitting a mark and being in the same place, and then hopefully giving Hillary what she needed, because it was more emotional. The scene was more emotional for her than certainly it was for me. So I had a lot of fun doing it. I'd love to do it in the future. I don't know if I will, but in season 5 we'll definitely still have music and the music storylines as a part of the show. So who knows, maybe we'll see Max again. You know what's weird about working in TV is you don't really have a lot of time to actually watch TV. I do watch some shows, though. I find that I'm catching up now at the end of this season. We just literally locked the finale this morning. So I went home and I gorged myself on, like, I have a TiVo, so I watched like 6 episodes of Heroes, which I'm loving. And what's great about it is we have this rule in the writer's room where you get a year to see a movie or a TV show. Nobody can talk about it or give away the ending. Once the year has passed, it's fair game. You had a year. If you didn't see it by then, we're talking about it. But because a lot of times other shows and other movies will come up and someone will say, oh, like the ending to The Sixth Sense, when? And somebody will say, I haven't seen it. And we're like, look, you had time. Tough. Do I ever want to chuck it all and move back to Illinois? I love Illinois, and I hope that I someday will move back to Illinois and live out my days in a very John Hughesian existence. But I'm not ready to chuck it all, no. Some days it's a little speculative, trust me, but I'm looking forward to season 5 and 6 and maybe 7. I do get to Wilmington, maybe once a month or so. And when I'm there, I have to tell you, Paul Johansson may play a reprehensible character, but he's awesome to go to dinner with. So he's a little closer to my age, so I hang out with Paul a lot. And James and Lee, this year I got to hang out with Steven a lot. And as a new addition to the cast and a new addition to our world in Wilmington, he's a great guy, and he's a lot of fun to go out with, and just a really sweet kid. Of the girls, actually this season I hung out with Sophia more, and it was nice to sort of get to spend time with Sophia. I hadn't done a lot socially with her in the past. The time she did the goth makeup thing for episode 409, I made her keep the makeup on when we went to the gym, which was really fun. More so for me than her, probably. Well, I love the La Rocca album, The Truth. We used a bunch of songs off of it this year. I thought that was a really wonderful album. I just got the new album by The National, which I'm really happy with, and the new Veils record is fantastic. So if you guys don't have that, you need to get it. And there's going to be a slew of Veils songs in the final 6 episodes for the rest of the season. Mark Schwann, creator of One Tree Hill, and this is CW Connect. So Fierce, I had actually written this as a feature script. It was a movie, and it was a very different movie, but it had Lucas and Peyton and Nathan, and those characters were in the feature. And when we were shooting the pilot, which was very different than the movie, Lucas would ask me, when did I first realize that Nathan was my brother? And I had all that information because I had written it as a movie script, and then I had started writing it as a novel. So it was great, and I saw that they really appreciated that backstory when I could look them in the eye and say, here, let me tell you exactly what happened, and really give them detail and texture. And it got to be like a running joke. Like Chad would say, ask him anything. He knows what color socks Lucas was wearing that day. Peace Sawyer Fan 6, you asked about how we've written Ghost. We wrote Ghost Keith, the little boy, and obviously we brought Keith back. This year. We wrote Pangel, who we all loved. Originally it was Peyton's Halloween costume, and we became so enamored of it, and we just thought she looked so wonderful in it, and it was really a tribute to hair and makeup and wardrobe and all the teams that sort of embraced that. That I just thought it was wonderful, and I thought, hey, maybe that's what her subconscious looks like to her, and we can bring Pangel, is what we call her. We can bring Pangel back, and she can have this direct conversation with herself. We can go basically anywhere that we can take people in the framework of One Tree Hill, and that's pretty much anywhere. So, sometimes we do a better job than others, and sometimes we're able to do really big cliffhangery things, and sometimes we do quiet moments, but I don't worry about running out of ideas for the show. As a matter of fact, some days I think we've only scratched the surface. So Mini Mark, I love your name. I do check the message boards, not as often as I once did. I think first season I had a better dialogue with the fans, and I tried to be more active in that dialogue. Obviously, we appreciate the fans enormously, and we've tried to cater to them as much as we can, which is how we got to CW Connect. It was hard for me. I found that I was dwelling more on the criticism than I was embracing the positive comments on the message boards. I found that for me, I had to believe in the show that I was writing, and I had to believe that you guys would embrace that show, and I had to sort of stay away because there would be so many wonderful things said, but the few negative things tended to bother me a little bit. So I do still try to be very active with it. There are people on my staff who will check in from time to time. I think it's an important tool, and I think it's great that the fans have a voice. A lot of people ask me about music on the show, and it's a big part of the show, and it's one of my passions. I do have help. Lindsay Wolfington is our music supervisor, and she has great taste, and she'll put mixes together for me of like the latest and greatest music that's out there, and a lot of times that'll lead to music that finds its way into the show, or it'll lead me to a band I didn't know about, and that will lead me to a song that ends up in the show. Lindsay does a good job of finding songs where a lyric might fall into a scene and sort of describe what's going on in the scene. For me, it's mostly melody, if the song is sweeping or romantic or whatever, and the scene is as well. OTH for life. I love your screen name. Thank you. A normal day for me in One Tree Hill usually starts as executive producer. Usually it starts with emails and questions, and either about the day's shooting or the episode that we're prepping, because while we're shooting an episode, we're prepping the next episode. I'll spend a lot of time in the car with the digital recorder talking to myself and looking crazy. And then when I get to the office, we usually spend the first hour of the day or so in the writer's room talking about the current episode that we're breaking. Then there's usually editing of a different episode. So I'll go across to post-production, which is right next door to us, and we have 3 editors, and they're always working on different episodes. So there's 3 episodes that are being edited at the same time. At the end of the day, which is usually 7 or 8 o'clock at night, the phones stop ringing and mostly everyone goes home, and then I'll spend an hour or 2 in the office working on whatever script it is that I'm working on, or reading the writer's draft of a script, giving notes to the writer, maybe polishing something. Don't forget there's the soundtrack, there's DVDs, there's the Close Over Bros, there's the tour, there's all that stuff too, and sometimes it doesn't seem like there's enough time in the day, but you know, when you love what you do and when it's what you wished for, which it was for me, you tend to find the energy and the adrenaline, and after 88 episodes, we're still having a lot of fun. I know a lot of people asked about why don't any of the characters have pets. Here's something you don't know. In the pilot, Whitey had a cat. He had a great big tabby tomcat. And Barry said that he was allergic to cats. Now, I have my suspicions that he just didn't like cats and he didn't want the cat. But originally I wrote the cat, and what happened is we're shooting in Wilmington. Well, they have a lot of animal trainers and handlers for movies in Los Angeles, but not so much in North Carolina. So, and cats can be a little finicky and stubborn. So we actually had some cats come to the set, and they were very sweet, but we shoot a lot of coverage. We shoot close-ups, we shoot masters, we shoot medium shots, and pretty much everybody has to be in the exact same spot. And cats really don't care about coverage. They don't really give a crap about, hey, we haven't shot the close-up yet, cat, so you got to go back and clean yourself again. So last year we talked long and hard about one of the characters getting a puppy. But what we realized is puppies don't stay puppies for long. And we were moving this year like at a glacial pace. Each episode picked up where the last one ends. I think our last 6 episodes cover like a day and a half. So the puppy's not going to stay a puppy that long, because it's going to take us months to shoot it. And we're going to have to get a bunch of puppies. And they're all going to have to look the same. And they're all going to be really good actors. So unfortunately, that sort of squashed the pet idea. You know, maybe somebody will get a snake at some point or something. Mark Schwann, creator of One Tree Hill, and this is CW Connect. The rest of the season is very interesting. Obviously, the kids are graduating, so there's an opportunity to have them in close quarters more. And so I think all of the camps, there's something for everyone. Obviously, we have Psycho Derek. When we left with Psycho Derek, so we have to sew that up. We have graduation, as I mentioned. We have, you know, the Dan Keith murder scenario and what's going on, who knows what, and is that going to see the light of day? There's really big stuff left for the rest of the season, and I think a lot of that is also going to enrich the relationships. Some that we've seen a lot of this year, and some, you know, characters that haven't spent a lot of time together, like Lucas and Haley, for instance. As they approach graduation, obviously they're going to gravitate more towards each other, and they're going to want to check in, and they're going to want to comment on the journey they've taken so far. We just wrapped the finale. And just all the episodes are edited now. They're all locked, and I don't know if I've been more proud of a run of 6 episodes than I am of this final 6. So I hope you guys will come back, and I hope you really enjoy it. And when you don't, trust me, I know I'll hear about it, but I'll love you for it anyway. We moved away from it. It was kind of a joint decision that I made with Joy. We talked about it, and we decided to back off from it. Obviously, Joy is a wonderful musician, and she sort of had a life of her own outside of the show, performing and songwriting. So I think she maybe wanted to keep that separate. But the fact of the matter is that storyline was really lucrative for the Haley character, and I'm not so sure that we won't see more of that in season 5. There's a scene in season 1. It's Lucas and Nikki on the carousel. They have like a sex scene on the carousel. I remember having discussions at length with the network. At the time, it was very early in our journey, and certainly early in Lucas's journey on One Tree Hill. And originally they were going to kiss as a train was approaching, and then they were going to separate, and the train was going to pass, and Nikki was going to be gone. And the powers that be didn't feel like the kiss was sexy enough.